We're going to build the best football team in the SEC Conference. We're going to build the best football program in the SEC Conference.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
The kick, it's been blocked again! How about it? It's been blocked again! It's going to heat one deep down the field. It's going to be to the goal line. It's going to be gone! It's a touchdown! And the Gators have won the game! Tyreek Cleveland! How about it? I can't believe what I just saw! Dropping back to throw. Pops and fires the ball over the middle. It's Dory! It's Dory! Got a touchdown! Dory's got a touchdown! Oh, man! Dory's got a touchdown! Ahmad Black, in his final game as a Gator, takes it all the way home and sends Urban out the winner.
You have now arrived at Stadium in Gale.
Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Stadium Miguel. It's your favorite Uncle Silk.
It's Dan.
And Del Torre.
Same corner, same time, man. Peak summer vibes. How y'all boys feeling? Y'all good?
Nick?
I feel great.
Yeah.
Had a relaxing weekend with the significant other. Had some mimosas yesterday. Kicked back. A little brunch vibes.
Mimosa, man.
Some avocado toast and mimosa. Big Becky Karen vibes yesterday.
I can see that. Who'd you yell at? You go to the store and just yell at a random manager?
Yeah. Fought the urge.
Yeah.
The urge to ask for the manager.
What's your brunch gear look like? You got your shorts above the knees?
Oh, listen. I mean, we're going 5-inch shorts.
Yeah.
There's skies out, thighs out.
Guys out, thighs out, baby. I feel you.
Thank you, Manscaped, later in the ad, but
Yo.
keeping no hairy Larry.
No hairy Larry, man. It's
No hairy
peak summer,
Larry.
man. You gotta keep your shade.
Yeah. Had some red shorts on, white shirt,
There you go.
sunglasses. She wanted to eat outside. It was 11 o'clock, already 98 degrees.
bold
Said,
move.
not a chance. Said not a chance.
Bold
We're going
move.
inside.
I like it. Yeah,
Where'd you
it's
go?
definitely eat inside weather.
Yeah, there's nothing outside weather right now.
Nick, you might have said it. Where did you eat?
It's called That Bar and Table. It used to be Lucy's.
Very good. I'll have to give it
Sorry.
a shot next time. So I am not well, gentlemen.
I'm unwell.
Yeah, I went hard pause this weekend. I had a big charity event that I love going to every year. It's a gala event. It raises money for the Mafia Cancer Center here in town.
Mafia Cancer Center.
Yeah, yep. The
It's called
big
Mafia?
cancer research hospital here.
Oh, I ain't never heard of Mafia.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a dope name. I like it.
Yeah, so they have there's a group that puts on an event that raises money for them. I bought tickets for that a few months ago. Maybe a couple weeks after I bought tickets, my buddy Paul, everybody loves Paul from the timeline, texts me. He's like, "Hey boy, all right, hey buddy, my our boys are playing Whiskey Myers, a big country music band that we like, are playing in St. Augustine this day. Do you want to go?" Like, sure, let's get tickets. He bought me tickets. A couple months go by. I'm writing down my plan and schedule. I'm like, oh shoot, that's the same weekend. So I have to go big formal gathering Saturday night, wake up, drive my hopefully not too hungover ass up to Gainesville or up to St. Augustine, and then just get back at it Sunday night. So in traditional Dan Bender vibes, get up there, have a blast last night, get it rained on a little bit in St. Augustine. That's okay. Have an elite time. But then driving back today, it all just kind of hit me. I'm just not as young as I used to be anymore. So it's going to be one that I kind of struggle through today.
The ride home from the Benders be a lot of self-reflecting.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, Brooke's sleeping in the car. it's just me in the road, and you start to self-evaluate a little bit more. But you're right.
Sure.
But you have to do it, right? We only get the chance to do this once. So shout out to Whiskey Myers. Shout out to Shane Smith and the Saints. Elite performance last night. So,
Shout out to Paul, man. Paul got the rawest, toughest, best seafood boil I ever had at a tailgate, man. Paul gets busy.
He's going to be doing that at the LSU game again this year. He's bringing a 100-quart cooker with him. He said he's going to get up there Friday morning, and he's just going to set himself up on the lawn there at the University of Florida for 2 days and just cook out. So all are welcome, I guess.
That is I might need to hook him up with my buddy Zach from LSU. He is a big LSU fan. I met him through Richard Johnson. Shout out to Richard. Just got honored with the Ed Ashoff Rising Star Award from the Football Writers Association of America.
Nice.
Couldn't imagine another person Ed would want to win the award other than Richard. So shout out to him. But I met Zach through Richard, and he does that, like what Paul is talking about doing, every LSU home game. And he said this year he wants to take it on the road. And I was like, listen, you give me some of that gumbo, some of that jambalaya that you spend 48 hours cooking that I had in Baton Rouge, and you can stay at my house.
Yeah, we got the same corner in the same time. You can do that at too, man. We can throw out if you want to come do some tailgate vibes with a seafood boy, man. He got free taste testers.
Yeah, all day.
All day.
Man, so how was your weekend? Go ahead, Nick.
No, go ahead, Sup.
I just wonder how Suck's weekend was.
I vibed out, man. Worked at the Kush House. We had an interview on the Roll Up Guys and crew. We had an interview with Preston Parker, former Delray Atlantic, Florida State wide receiver. It was electric at this time. Short stint at Florida State. Yeah, we did 3 years, but he got kicked out for and joined the North Alabama crew with Janoris. A lot of that 5'6" to Big 3 to North Alabama vibes. But a great conversation, some great storytelling. And after that, man, I just chilled. I hung out. Spent some more time at the Kush. I was getting things together, getting the studio in order for the fall, organizing some things, hung out with my son. Went and checked out Crystal Shop and did some rendezvousing around Orlando with him, and then made it back home, man. That's it. That's the vibes. Just work. It's my birthday week, man, so I'm about to relax.
Yeah, man. Happy birthday. Happy early birthday. Thanks, early birthday.
Thanks, man.
It's your big Sean Kemp year, right?
Sean Kemp year, baby. 40, man. Big 40. So just relaxing, man, trying to get, things in order as much as I can before the weekend because I'm going to unplug. I don't have any crazy big plans, but I don't want to be on none of the apps. I just want to be off the grid, man,
Just enjoy, my friend.
For sure.
Well, happy early birthday to you. We got a good show for you guys this week. We had the chance to interview Todd Golden last week, so we'll insert that interview in. Really good conversation with him, new Florida Gators basketball coach. And then we're going to dive into some of the other big issues that are that we're encountering in the Florida Gator fan base, whether it's recruiting, whether it's number changes and all that. But we've got a good, exciting episode for you. But as we always do, we want to give a shout out to our friend Alan Horn with Alan Horn Insurance for being the title sponsor of Stadium and Gale. Alan is located up there in Jasper, Georgia. So if you live in Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, or Alabama, and you are looking for auto, home, renters, life insurance, business insurance, retirement planning, whatever the case may be, visit him at 706-692-2888 or AlanHornInsurance.com. Again, that's Alan Horn, AlanHorne, insurance.com, or 706-692-2888. Gentlemen, we do have some new numbers in Florida Gator Nation this week that were announced, but the probably the biggest news that fans clamored over with late last week was Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver transfer from Arizona State, grabbing that number 1 jersey. Any thoughts on that? Were you surprised?
I was surprised, yeah. I don't know how far Billy's how serious he's taking the number 1 in the tradition of it. But traditionally, he's the best player on the team. I don't know if Ricky Pearsall is there. I would like to see AR in it, but the player got to actually want to wear number 1 as well. But it does raise some eyebrows. But just talking to some guys on the team, they say he is looking good. Could take the roof off the defense, doing this thing in the workouts. But I don't know, man. I ain't
talking to some guys on the team. A lot of guys weren't feeling it. And it's because did it start with Urban really, the number 1?
It probably started before
that.
I would say it probably started in the early 2000s, probably around the Keywan Ratliff time, because Reggie.
I think Urban made it a thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the best player award, but I think Urban like officially made it a thing when he got there. Make it a reward.
You had to earn it.
Right.
Like Janoris Jenkins didn't come in from JUCO wearing, or not Janoris. Reggie Nelson didn't come in from JUCO wearing number 1.
Right.
Like, he had a number and then showed he was a baller and got number 1.
Right.
Not to sound like Dan Mullen. Percy Harvin wore number 8. Vernon Hargreaves had an egregious 16 on his back for one game. I think. I don't know how important jersey numbers are. Like, obviously, the number 1 as a head coach, you probably have 30 guys outside your door that all want that number. Maybe it was Billy's way of being like, "Hey, I don't want to make numbers a big deal. We'll just give it to the kid that wants it, that just got here, sure." But it's one that I kind of liked. I kind of liked you had to earn number 1. If you're a Florida fan and you're looking down the field and you see someone wearing number 1. You like mentally put a note in your head, like, hey, that's a dude. That's someone I should be watching today. Is that Ricky Pearsall? I don't know. Does Florida know?
Yeah.
Probably not, because they're not really doing anything really football right now.
Right.
So I think that to me was the surprising one.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't know what the number means. I don't know if that's a tradition that's being carried over or not. Was a little surprising. Also, it could be a little bit much ado about nothing. We also don't know how many players pined for that jersey number. Certainly it's something that maybe they wanted, but also maybe they were, pretty happy. There was only 4 number changes overall. Only a couple of them were on the offensive side of the ball as it was. So at the end of the day, maybe it's not a number that anybody, I'm not saying that anybody didn't want it, but I'm also not sure, if there's necessarily always a huge fight over it, or certainly it might not have been a thing. There could have been other, factors that came into that as well from a leadership perspective, maybe a recruiting perspective for him as well, right? Who knows? So he's certainly interesting, but definitely that is not the guy that I thought would have the number 1.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who would you have?
Have it right now. If not AR, nobody in my mind right now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you maybe one of the running backs wanted it, right? And we'll talk about that here in a second. But I don't know of anybody that's truly deserving on the offensive side of the ball besides maybe Anthony Richardson for that number.
Yeah, and he's moving away from the AR-15 nickname, but I don't think he was looking for a jersey number swap.
Who was it? Harrison that told us he liked the number 1 Air if AR were to switch.
Yeah, I would have liked that Brandon move as well. That was pretty slick. How do you guys feel about him moving? We talked about it, I think, before. How do you guys feel about him moving away from that moniker?
From a marketing standpoint, it's probably just smart business.
Yeah,
unless you were going to get the the NRA money.
I don't know what value in these times you have with keeping that branding. I know it's unfortunate, but certainly it shows a lot of maturity in my perspective from his camp and from him making that decision. Right now we live in very sad and unfortunate times where that's not even something that we can use lightly or use in a different way. So I do applaud him for doing that. Did wonder if that would come with a number change and maybe a completely new rebrand. But ultimately, I do applaud him for the maturity of making that change, in this day and age.
I feel like they took Auntie Mama off of syrup.
Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate, right? Because we talked about how kind of perfectly it fit, right? A couple years ago, and then obviously with NIL and everything else. But to be able to see the forest through the trees and be able to think of the bigger issue at hand rather than just your personal branding, I think that shows a lot of maturity for AR.
For sure.
Let's see. In other name changes, Naquan Wright goes from number 6 down to number 5. Chief Borders changes from number 36 to number 14. Dejan Reynolds goes from 81 to 8, and then Jordan Young goes from 31 to 11. Any thoughts on any of those?
Oh, I like 31. I didn't mind 31. I think that's a good DB number. Shout out to Cody Riggs.
Yeah.
I like 11 better. Looks
Sticks.
sexier on the Georgia.
We called whoever wore 11 was Sticks when we played baseball.
Right.
Okay, I like that.
I do not like 14. 14 from 36 to
14's
14.
Yeah, I don't think that's a number upgrade. You know, if you're a backup quarterback, right? You're a walk-on. Maybe you get that scholarship. You go from 36 to 14. I'm just not sure. I jump out seeing a 14 linebacker number. You know,
definitely a walk-on number.
Alex McAllister
was that? I thought Alex McAllister was 16.
13. He was 13.
Mm-hmm.
No, what was McAllister? He was 13.
He was 16.
No, that was Chapadan. Was 13.
The Chapadan was 13. Well, McAllister never wore 13.
They're on the same team.
He was number 14. You're right, Nick.
Boom.
Wow.
Listen, bro, I know my numbers. I'm here for was it a number upgrade or downgrade?
Me and Dan didn't remember it. So
yeah.
Point still proven. We didn't even remember what it was.
All right, Nick. I think going from number 6 to number 5 for Naquan Wright, that's a number upgrade. I like
I would say
5. I like 6.
I would say it's a push. I'd say it's a push.
Yeah, it's a push. I like a push.
So I'm going to go with
single digits. Single digits most likely going to be pushing unless you like 9 or something ugly like that. I don't like 9 or 8. Good. I'm cool on 9. It's not bad, but I'm just cool on it.
So we said number? 36 to 14 is a downgrade.
In my opinion,
the Chief. I mean, so like Chiefs playing like outside.
I like 30, a 51. You know,
30,
like a 53.
Yeah, no. So Chiefs more. He's playing like outside linebacker. He's playing like edge. So like 36 is to me is a DB. Yeah, no, just a DB or maybe like a
specialist,
a fullback. How dare you? Specialist should get first pick of numbers.
Yeah,
14 is I think 14 is a better number for his position, but still not a number.
All specialists should have numbers in the 40s. So 81 to 8, I'm going to go push. I like the number 81 for a wide receiver, but maybe I'm just a little old school with the NFL, right?
Yeah, I'm going to go downgrade. I think 8's a better number, but I don't know.
81. I like Chad Jackson. Got some Chad Jackson vibes to it. I'm not mad at 8. I wouldn't personally want to wear, but I would. 81 was Callaway, but I like a single digit over the 80s, man. Unless you want to be a wide receiver from the 90s.
If we're keeping it a buck, 81 was Chico.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a good point. And then 31 down to 11.
I'd say upgrade, even though I like 31 better. I like the number 31, but
you just like it because Cody Riggs wore it and he went to
St. Thomas.
That's St. Pride.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really like that ugly ass number, man.
Speaking of ugly numbers, and I can say this, so my hockey number for a long time was number 29.
Ew.
New transfer wide receiver, Ty Bowman.
Not good.
Throwing up the number 29.
Not good.
Yeah. Under one catch on the season wearing the number 29.
I get big gunner vibes. Big
special teams.
Vibes. If you're not going to look at film, if you're purely just want to scratch the surface, if I'm a receiver and I transfer to a school and they hand me 29, I'm like, damn, I picked the wrong school.
Bro, and then the other transfer that came in with you got the number 1.
Yeah, right? You're like, yo, I definitely picked the wrong school.
You have to know where you sit right then, right?
Like maybe I should have been a Mac.
It's different transfers. One's coming from – didn't he come from JUCO? Yeah. I'm interested in that kid, though. I want to see and follow him in camp. I wasn't mad at his film. I think he brings something different in our wide receiver room.
Don't walk away from the TV on punt team and kickoff. Then you'll see him.
You're slandering a kid. He barely even put the jersey on.
You ain't hearing good things or something? What you hearing?
Nah, just strictly off of getting the number 29.
Oh, sometimes they just hand out numbers, man. He'll figure it out once he get here. They probably promised Ricky something in recruiting. He was more coveted.
Bag. You need a bag and a number now.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're transferring in the portal. You can talk bags in the portal. You're not a high school recruit. What we got?
Yeah, just looking to see if there's any other number changes. Couldn't really see or anything else that we could talk about numbers related. I know that certainly that's not the most elite content in the world. Who was your favorite off the top of your head? Do you guys have any players that wore unique numbers that you thought really fit them or stood out despite it being a very odd number? Somebody in the chat says Antonio Morrison, number 12. That was certainly something.
At the time, John Bostic wearing number 1.
That was crazy.
Was crazy because like linebackers weren't really wearing those kind of numbers. He also was massive and like number kind of just got like lost on him. I love any big man with a small number. So like when
Easily
Carlos Dunlap in 8.
When Easley switched down to 2, I thought that was wild. Yeah, so there's any big guy with a small number. Like give me a nose tackle wearing 0. I'm all about it.
I like that.
So
I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that really kind of stuck out. I liked, and it's not a number you see often, but my boy Jermaine Cunningham. I think he was number 49.
Yeah, I was something about to say 44 with Orr. I thought it was different too.
We could get Jermaine on the show. Him and I used to be boys back in the day. Me, him, Will Hill, and D. Finley used to go bowling.
Oh, that's a crew. That was a crew.
Crew.
Now we know why they got in shit.
Yeah.
How did Dan sneak into that crew?
That's a wild crew, man.
That's a group to put together. Hell yeah. Oh, man.
Shout out to D. Finley, man.
Jermaine Cunningham was cool. Him and Dustin Doe were roommates like freshman summer B, and they live right across from my best friend. We had some great stories. But Jermaine Cunningham's actually part of the reason I got a job working at the UF recruiting department. We were talking after he was maybe in the weight room and I was walking to class and we were just chatting and Emily Heater walked up to him and then we started talking and long story short, a couple weeks later, I got a job working in the football recruiting office. So shout out to him. Why don't we do this? Why don't we let the listeners listen to our Todd Golden interview, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit of recruiting because I know that there's a lot of stuff that folks want to talk about there. But before we do that, Silk, why don't you do a Gramco ad read for our Todd Golden interview?
Absolutely. Be sure to visit thegramco.com. Use coupon code SG25 for gummies, wake and bake coffee, pre-rolls, sativa doll products. Those gummies come in 3 flavors, by the way, blue raspberry, fruit punch, and watermelon. And they also have a hard candy now, and it's tropical orange. Very good. More like a Jolly Rancher type feel, but everything's federally legal to your mailbox in discreet packaging. Sativa Doll products is on a different website. You can visit them on sativadol.com. And Gramco take care of everything from seed all the way to packaging, so you know your source and exactly where your product is coming from. Like I said, be sure to visit thegramco.com. Use coupon code SG25 at checkout for 25% off.
Right. And then we will march out of that in 3, 2, 1. Great interview with Todd Golden. Really cool story for him. I think my favorite part of the discussion was just kind of following his trajectory over the last 10 years is pretty incredible. To go from finishing your basketball career over in Israel to working in advertising, to ultimately ending up as a director of basketball operations at Columbia. And 10 years later, you are the head coach at the University of Florida. Is obviously a meteoric rise and probably rivals just about anybody else. Especially without the name recognition, right?
Yeah. Like not to get into like anyone's pockets, but like he was working in like selling ads. Like you're making good money selling ads, for sports to Comcast and to IMG. And then after turning down your buddy for a job for a while, you're like, you know what? I don't love this anymore. Let me go back to my buddy. He's offered me the job a couple of times. This should be easy. And he's like, oh, now you want to, now you're interested in the job. All right. Well, you're going to be Dobo. You're not going to be a coach.
Yeah.
You're going to be the director of basketball operations and you're going to have to earn it. And you're still like, okay, yeah, I'll put down, a 6-figure job to go work 106 hours a week. Cutting up film and doing stuff behind the scenes for a basketball program.
Yeah. Chase his
meteoric
passion, man.
rise. Yeah.
He's dope, man. He's young, man. He got a lot of potential. I'm excited to see what the basketball program look like this fall before I get all crazy. But I just like the way he's talking. We'll see what the offense looks like.
Yeah, I think that they just started doing some practices that I saw late last week, and so it'll be great to watch them. Obviously, a completely new team from what we saw last year under Mike White. So definitely excited and very appreciative of him for sitting down with us, and definitely appreciate Denver Parlor for helping put all of that together. Let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Alumni Hall. So want Gator gear, Alumni Hall is your ultimate shopping experience. New blue jerseys that are there, new Jordan polos are out, and everything you need for your tailgate setup are in store and online now. So make sure when you're ready for Gator football, when it comes back here in just a few short weeks, visit them on Archer Road in Gainesville or at alumnihall.com. Alumni Hall, where Gator fans shop, including myself. Got me one of the new white polo, coach's polo, Jumpman polos that came out. So very excited to wear that. Had my old Nike polo shirt for about 6 years now. So it's time to put that one into retirement. So, all right, gentlemen, we've got Friday Night Lights coming in next Friday. Some big names on that list. Want to go over some of those. Want to give a shout out to Corey Bender, Cormani McLean. Some discussion about him on Three's rankings. Nick, you're going to have to stand for your organization here in a second. Drops Cormani McLean down from the number 3 overall player down to number 19, but he'll be in attendance. Number 1 defensive tackle, James Smith, 5-star edge, Jaquavius Rousseau, Desmond Ricks, who's been on campus now a couple of times, will be there. Top 100 defensive lineman, Kelby Collins, safety Jordan Castell, pardon me. I think the Gators are potentially hoping to have him in this class in the not too distant future. Same with defensive lineman Will Norman over at IMG Academy. Andy Jean, who released the top 5 with the Florida Gators in it. On 3, top 300 player defensive lineman Cameron James, who shot up the rankings. Offensive tackle Tyree Adams. Gators desperately need some help on the offensive line. Eugene Wilson, Gator commit, will be in attendance. Lewis Carter, 4-star linebacker. Potential commit wide receiver to Quavius Sori. Offensive line target Peyton Kirkland. Sharif Denson, Trayon Webb, Bryce Levitt, Gavin Hill, Najee Harris, Creed Whittemore, and a number of other big names there looking to shape up to be a big weekend. I know that they're doing Friday Night Lights on Friday and then doing a cookout and barbecue on Saturday. Nick, do you know anything more that you might be able to share, or Silk, anything more about that event that you guys have heard about?
I think a little more exclusive, a little smaller than normal. Yep. For Friday Night Lights, which is good. Probably getting back to what it started as. And then the cookout, I think, is I don't know how many of these kids that like you really want to get, and like sure you'll get a kid that shows out at Friday Night Lights. Mm-hmm. I think the cookout might even be more of a better recruiting tool than the actual Friday Night Lights camp. Just because you're kind of in a chill, laid back environment, you have more time to talk. The coaches aren't running through drills, stuff like that. You can focus on guys. Break bread, baby. Relationship ribs.
That's right.
Yeah, I do like that. Like that is more exclusive. They dwindled down the numbers some. It just became like a normal or regular camp. That's not how Urban started it when he came aboard. So I do like that. I just want to see what the names are officially next week. I know we got some decisions coming up this week, starting I think tomorrow, or it'll be today when this drop. I think we should have some decisions this weekend as well. I want to see if those guys still make it, and you know, we probably should move that camp up some.
You think?
I think so. I said it looks like these kids' timetable right now for this year is going to be starting to like load up towards the end of the summer. Mm-hmm. I've never felt a rush like this of like commits at one time like we are this summer, in my opinion. So it seems like that camp would be more effective earlier in the summer.
Are you allowed to, with the dead periods and things of that nature happening,
Allows you what?
to have like a Friday Night Lights in earlier in the summer?
Yeah, I mean, Miami and the other schools have had camps.
Paradise Camp.
Yeah. I just think you move it up. This is a date thing. I think you can move it up earlier in the summer, maybe in June sometime, and it's more effective than.
Do you think it's a this year thing, or it's a new wave thing? Because it could just be this cycle.
Yeah, it could be, but it feels like this may be a thing. And then you just can't hurt yourself by going earlier in the summer, right? To just be safe.
I think the point of it was everyone had their camps, and Urban wanted it to be the biggest, the most exclusive, and then the last one. Like before, it was the last visit these kids are going to take before they start their fall practice. So I think that's why they hold it late. But if you're putting yourself at a competitive disadvantage in recruiting by doing it late, you got to weigh the cost benefit analysis of, all right, cool. It is the last campus they're going to see before they go, to start their senior season, junior season, whatever it may be, versus, well, shoot, if all these kids are already committed to other schools, are they even going to come?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, I'd have to look back at other dates of when they've been. This one does seem later than other years previous. Again, I don't know how Friday Night Lights compares now to the other events around the country. I'm not saying that it's better. I'm not saying that it's worse. But I'm just curious to see how it does compare. Certainly Urban Meyer was one of the first to jump on the Friday camp and the night camp and everything else. So I'm curious to see how it compares, and also, is it time to maybe do something different, right? Has it kind of run its course? As a Friday night event, is it better on a Saturday? Would you get better participants on a Saturday compared to Friday? I don't know, right? But, certainly this Friday Night Lights outside of the COVID years certainly seems like the one that's the least hyped. Not necessarily that the attendees are the least hyped, but certainly the number of attendees seems a lot smaller, which, Nick said feels pretty purposeful, but also there doesn't seem to be a lot of hype around this event. But I think part of it is because a lot of folks are starting to make decisions now a hell of a lot earlier than they used to. Right. So, this used to be the time that kids would get onto campus and then they would visit a time or two in the fall. And now it just seems like a lot of these kids are making the decision before going into their senior year and probably won't travel much. And, if they haven't made their decision by the end of July, will this really impact a ton of, on their decision? I'm not sure. So certainly we'll be excited to see who does come on to campus. Certainly a lot of big names potentially in attendance. I do want to talk about just overall class thoughts. Silk, I know you said that there's potentially some transfers we talked a little bit about last week, but just another week. Any additional thoughts? I know that there's obviously a lot of discussion about Jay Bateman right now, and certainly Rob Sale that the Gator fan base seems to be talking about. But from a recruiting perspective, Gators blue chip numbers come out on the On3 rankings, and right now, I mean, if you look at their class, it's a pretty good class overall right now. I think they've got 4 3 stars, and then the rest that make up that class are 4 stars. So 8 to 4, pretty solid. Numbers. What do you guys think?
The numbers are solid, but the problem is do your options to fill the class out or disappearing. So that number, that average is probably going to drop unless we flipping people, right? Just from the law of numbers. So I think that's the biggest issue, and just the targets we missing out on head-to-head battles. That average could be even better, and we're losing out to Florida State. It's one thing if we think it's NIL based, and we may have got outbidded, but that's not happening with battles with Florida State in South Carolina, in my mind. So just those battles like that, we should be able to win, and our fan base is used to winning those. Those are not Florida. When Florida State's down, we win those. But South Carolina, that's just not one we should be losing out on, especially with kids from this state. So I think that is a little alarming. I mean, I don't want to make light of that. Like, we should be able to, the linebacker board is abysmal. Like, I don't know what the board is right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got any eligibility?
I got. If they allow me, man, I get out there at 145 pounds, give them what I got.
You got gunner size. You used to have that linebacker size.
I got linebacker mentality though. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I got that dog in me.
Yeah. I know how to get out of the way of road graders too.
I'm shifty. That's the biggest thing that you hit on, Silk, is that I think the class is in a good place, but the positions that you need to get, well, what's left out there?
Yeah.
Right. And are you just going to start throwing offers because you need linebackers in this class, because you need offensive linemen in this class?
Yes.
Just to fill the class because you want to get 25, 26, 30. Because right now you're going to be able to sign more than 25 a year, so you're not even beholden to only signing 10 more guys. That's the issue for me. And how much does Florida's success, or not even success in wins and losses total, but what does the product look like that you can sell to maybe flip some guys and like, hey, look, we were 7-5 this year. We played Texas A&M really close. We played Georgia closer than people thought. You, Corey Knowles, are the linebacker that we need to help our defense, which gets us one more stop, and then we beat Georgia. Then we beat Texas A&M. Can you sell that? So to me, you hit the nail on the head, is that I have no problem where the class is right now. But like you said perfectly, I think it will drop based on the guys that are available. The blue chip ratio at least will drop.
Right.
Yeah, no, be curious to see, how it ultimately does shake out. Certainly, the Gators are sitting in a good position, I think, from a wide receiver perspective. I think that they're going to be able to get some solid players on the defensive side of the ball.
Everybody's worried about Kerry. Like, Kerry out here cooking, man, with hot grease.
Yeah.
Kerry Cobra. Give him some flowers. I think we're going to land a couple more receivers that's going to be the real deal. But he's doing what he got to do. He's far from the problem.
Yeah, no, I would agree 100%. But, certainly Florida has some issues at linebacker, some issues on the offensive line, and probably some just other, areas as well. Well, they'll probably take some solid players, but, missed out on some elite gets. And that's really where, Florida has missed, I would say, over the last, number of years is, Florida's consistently had some pretty good recruiting classes. They just haven't been elite. And even if they are ranked pretty well, there's not a lot of big game changers, right? When you think of a game changer, you think of like a Dalvin Cook was a game changer for FSU, right? Percy Harvin, Tim Tebow were game changers. There's been a few, but it just seems like Florida has had some very solid classes, and they really need to start landing some big, names that are going to attract other people to be there. Certainly getting a guy like Cormani McLean would be great, but still you need to be in a position to land those guys. And I just don't know if Florida's going to get that this year. And we just kind of seem to be kicking the can down.
I think the approach is, and I think this isn't just Florida's approach. I think this is probably a couple schools' approach. I think Florida's approach is, and I think Pate, one of the guys, I think it's Josh Pate, his name. He had a similar Pate. These bills and these promises are going to come and do. Like a lot of people are making NIL promises and also giving upfront money, while it may be illegal, but that's happening. It's always happened. It's not going to change the NIL. I don't think Georgia's playing that game right now, and I think they should be recruiting at a higher level. And I think they are just cuffing some money and some tactics until rents do. Georgia just came off a national championship year. I think even though they were doing good recruiting, but I think they're holding their bullets until the final duel. I would say, and I think that's Florida approach. We just can't sell wins like a Georgia and a Bama can, right? So they're still able to get guys from their recent success and their last year playoffs and whatnot. So I think we have a similar approach to those guys. We just can't sell winning right now. And also we have a coach that we just got from G5. That's just what it is. So we have a similar approach. We just don't have the same product to sell right now. And then we got to see who's right, because Tennessee is one of those programs I think is they're getting busy in NIL right now. I think they're making some promises. They landed a nice class. But we've seen Tennessee do this in the offseason before. They did it with Pruitt. They had some crazy offseason with class, and people thought Tennessee was back. And then, things happen, season get played, and it falls apart. But I think there's some different approaches from different programs here, and we'll see what the final results are and who's right with the approach to this NIL and the way recruiting set up.
Yeah. I think that you make a really good point there, Silk. I think that that's something that we're certainly, there's still a lot of time left between now and National Signing Day. Obviously, there is a lot of things in the back of my mind that know that NIL is important and know that relationships are important, but also know that winning, no matter what, is also important. Right. A lot of these kids want to be able to compete, and, certainly there's going to be the ones that go and maybe just take the most money or, to be the prized possession in a recruiting class, but or the prize to get in a recruiting class, but I'm curious to see how it all does start to shake out. Right. Obviously, Miami's throwing a lot of money in name, image, and likeness and with LifeWall, and they don't really try to hide that at all. Right. And they've had less success than Florida's had over the last, certainly the last 2 decades. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Right. It'll be interesting to see what happens at a school like Louisville that seems to be recruiting well with NIL, and what happens with Tennessee. I'm not as high on Tennessee's class as maybe some of the recruiting services are. I mean, if you look at On3, a lot of their recruits are ranked in the 900s or below. But, it'll be interesting to see where this all does shake out overall. But, like you've said, I think that Florida's class can be solid, but it's still missing that big piece and that big component, to truly start to compete for those big championships.
My question about the offensive line recruiting, what is the dynamic? Like, is there a lead recruiter with these guys, or do they split the room area? Like, what is Stapleton and Sales' role in the recruiting world? Do you know, Nick? What do you hear from recruits? Do recruits talk to both of these guys? Like, what is their process like? We got 2 guys recruiting a room, and like to have 2 guys in that room, is the results ain't there. So just interested in what the process is like.
Well, they both got their areas, but they will definitely talk to recruits, whether it's DM on the phone, and then when they're on campus, both guys, it's a tag team effort. So right now, you're not getting a lot from your 3 and 4 hitters in the lineup.
Right.
Yeah, no, Florida's in a bad position there. That's probably the position they're sitting worst in right now. Certainly, there's going to be some transfers and areas that they can try to satiate the need there. But right now that offensive line recruiting is not going well, and it's been quite some time. Right. I mean, outside of Osiris Torrance, who comes to UF as a transfer, Florida hasn't recruited offensive line outstandingly in the last decade, right? We've got some 5 stars in there, but
almost half that decade was John Hevesy, and you weren't going to be landing a bunch of recruits when he was your offensive line coach.
Right, but I mean, you look at the recruiting, you look at the offensive line room now, and you say, hey, that could be one of Florida's best areas, right? We had Josh Braun on last week. Obviously, you had Osiris Torrance. You have Richard Garage. You have some, guys that were ranked, pretty well, but you don't have any real elite guys that were, the top of the class. I mean, Richard Garage maybe was, in his group, but, ultimately overall, what if instead of having, a group of solid 4 stars that you developed, if you had a couple 5 stars to be able there to develop as well, right? And you can say that in a lot of different areas, and we can look and say Florida's blue chip ratio is great. The class of 25, 18 of them are 4-star or higher, right? But like you're missing that 5-star that can turn into an elite player, right? You're taking good players and making them better. But what if you took a great player and made them better, right? That's where I think that, ultimately Florida's missing right now.
It's I've always said it's a tough position to recruit well at. A ton of it is long-term projections. I mean, you look at a guy like David Sharp, David Sharp was a consensus 5-star guy. And then I go to one of his high school games up in Jacksonville, and I'm like, he weighs 120 pounds more than any defensive lineman he's playing against. And they run the ball. 95% of the plays that they're calling are runs. I'm like, maybe he's a 5-star, but I don't know. I'm seeing him do one thing against smaller guys. And you've got guys like that throughout the country. So it's a huge projection for offensive linemen. Usually you start projecting. And listen, you got a whole damn army of people that are breaking down film and that are helping in recruiting. So not to say that you should have, 7 3-stars and be like, hey, listen, trust our evaluation. But it is a tough position to recruit.
No doubt.
Let's give a quick shout out to our friends over at Home Field Apparel. Use promo code Stadium and Gale at checkout. Maybe you're a Kansas State fan. Who knows? Maybe you have a family or friend that went there and you want to buy them some stuff. They just dropped a new line for Kansas State this past Saturday. But ultimately, you're here for the Gators. 17 different options, T-shirts, hoodies, retro from the baseball script Florida logo to a track and field logo to some old Albert and Alberta logos to some Gator logos from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Go check them out. Homefieldapparel.com, promo code Stadium and Gale, all one word. Nick, these next 2 segments are going to be focused on you. I want to talk about baseball and the draft that just came out, but SEC Media Days started today. You and Zach Albaverde will be heading up there tomorrow. Your thoughts? What kind of questions? Where are you going to go? What are you going to try to get out of Billy Napier at SEC Media Days? And how can we help you? What narratives do you need us to help you guide?
What narratives do you want me to
best
push?
Hands on the staff. Best
hands on staff.
It's just traditional Lil Wayne or Lil Baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what will get so much out of Billy. He's going to be asked a ton about name, image, likeness. He's going to be asked a bunch about conference expansion, both things. He's a broken record on. He doesn't know enough about the SEC. He's just trying to coach his team. Can't really isn't educated enough to talk about conference realignment. NIL, Florida has a huge alumni base. NIL will be a strength for the University of Florida, passionate fan base.
Gator Collective, yeah.
The Gator Collective, got the talking points. So he's going to be asked about that. So glad that we have our time with the local media only, because we know not to ask those questions, because I think I just gave the Cliff Notes guide of what he will say to any of those. I want to know more, and I don't know that he'll get into it, but you got to ask. I want to know more. Where is the program right now? When you come in and you have a plan as a coach, where you want to be 30 days in, 60 days in, 90 days in? Where do we want to be at, as we're on the doorstep of the season? Are you hitting your targets? Are you where you want the program to be? Are you a little bit behind? Are you ahead? And some honesty there would be cool. I haven't seen a lot of talk about Jason Marshall, and maybe we're caught up and there's just really no hype about him. I haven't really seen him on like any preseason watch lists, awards, stuff like that, and that stuff's still coming out. Want to know what his thoughts about Jason Marshall are, and then probably even more importantly, across from him, who's playing across from him.
Yeah.
Some things like, hey, you brought a quarterback, you brought Anthony. You didn't really, maybe I'm forgetting, but I don't think he really named Anthony the starter, but you bring your starter, and it's not a surprise that he's the starting quarterback, but you bring your starting quarterback to media days. I think since Jeff Driscoll, this is only the 3rd quarterback that's gone to media days for Florida.
Oh, wow.
With Felipe Franks being the other one year. And then maybe just like a big picture thing, like, you're in this circus now, and SEC Media Days is a circus. Just overall thoughts on getting the full SEC experience when you're going through the car wash of Media Day.
Well, he's the head coach now. He's had some experience of it. Has he ever been at SEC Media Day at all?
No.
Just the head coaches, yeah.
Head coach and players.
Okay.
And I'd be curious. I'd also be interested to know, maybe this isn't an SEC Media Days question, but how the staff's gelling together, right? Not just your staff that's made up of a lot of different people that have never worked together, right? I mean, you had a guy like Corey Raymond. What's his impact been life and working with Patrick Toney, right? I mean, they're collabing for that that backfield, right? What's that relationship been like, or what's it been like trying to assimilate 70 people into a new town while you yourself are getting assimilated? And how is that all working together? So be curious to know more about that. I doubt that you'll be able to have that conversation to a real actual discussion other than we've got a fantastic team that's working hard behind the scenes, and they really care about the Gator Nation, and he's very proud of their work. But I'd be actually curious to see how all of that is going overall. But certainly there's a mix of old and new, a mix of big names that people have heard of, and certainly new names onto the coaching radar. So all curious to see how that is working together. That will be a fun event, I think, for you, Nick, this year.
Interested to hear AR speak.
Mm-hmm.
From a leadership standpoint, I think he speaks well regardless anyway, so to see him be the guy, get the mic, like you said, we haven't seen quarterbacks, as in a leadership position and being able to speak on national television and lead the team, man. So just interested to see him, how he comes off, what he wears, all that, man.
Yeah.
I am interested in the drip.
Yeah,
he's
got some. I'm not gonna lie. He probably doesn't work with Hong Kong Andy, but he probably works with somebody probably equal caliber.
Probably Zimbabwe Tyrone.
Zimbabwe Tyrone. Yeah, that's gotta be it. It's gotta be it.
Who is actually from Thailand.
That's a fantastic name for the title too, Zimbabwe Tyrone. I'm curious to see that. Nick, I want to ask you though. I'm starting to see a lot of names and who people are excited about and everything else. The top 5 quarterbacks, according to I forgot who it was for the SEC. Why do we keep seeing Will Levis's name?
He's on that hype
so
train.
High?
Listen. Satan works hard, but Will Levis's management team works harder.
I'll tell you what.
Like, the guy he's a good quarterback. He's good. Yeah. He's fine. You're not mad if he's your quarterback. I'm seeing Kentucky fans saying that he's better than Bryce Young, the Heisman winner from last year. They think it's egregious that you're even putting Anthony Richardson in the same context, in the same sentence as Will Levis. What are we doing here?
Listen, he went 7 for 17 last year against UF.
Nothing against him. Seems like a nice guy. Definitely weird. Eating banana skins, mayo in the coffee. Weird. He's marketed himself as the weird guy. His agent, his manager, whoever it is, he is that guy. Hey, if you have any room on your roster, I'm looking for representation too, because he's working wonders for Will Levis.
How you think he's brand new, bro?
I don't know, bro. But listen, you got a guy eating banana skins, and now they're talking about him. People are actually talking about him as a first-round quarterback pick, a first-round pick in the NFL draft. That's nuts. It's not me. I'm paying that guy to market me. I don't need to tell him how to do it. He's doing it with a will.
I'll be honest with you. I just remember his name because him and Spencer of Spencer's Jerk and Jerky beefed on the internet, or maybe Spencer made fun of him or something. I don't remember. But they got into it on the internet last year. That's really kind of the only reason I remember his name. Certainly not a bad quarterback, but definitely did not anticipate Tim Tebow ranking him as the second best quarterback in the SEC behind Bryce Young, ahead of Anthony Richardson at 3, Spencer Rattler number 4, and Hendon Hooker number 5. I'll be honest with you. I think Spencer Rattler is getting a lot of, people that have forgotten maybe what we saw out of him at Oklahoma.
It was egregious.
I don't think that South Carolina's offense is going to be any better than Oklahoma in terms of putting players in position to make impact with the ball. So still very surprised to see Spencer Rattler's name that high. Not saying that Anthony Richardson's name should be higher or lower. It has nothing to do with him. It's just a bit surprised that Will Levis is number 2, according to Tim Tebow. And I thought Hendon Hooker might be a little bit higher, to be honest with you. He put up at least some numbers last year.
That's in typical Tennessee fashion. Turn it on at the end of the year with the lesser part of your schedule. Start that hype train for the off season.
I'm excited to see this team, man. I know we didn't get into a whole lot of fall talk, but we just got to see a team that quit towards the end of last year. So it was a lot of sour memories. But seeing these guys with some new buy-in, you're gonna get a spark. So I know our schedule's rough, but I'm excited to see what these guys step out and do.
Absolutely.
15 go crazy. It's a wrap. We just need him to just stay healthy, bro.
Go brazy, as the kids would say.
Already.
Hey, look at that.
Look at Nick. Nick,
hello, youths.
Hello. How do you do?
Use.
Nick, let's talk a little baseball. MLB draft. Are you still doing like 700 rounds, or did they
just 20?
Trim down?
20 rounds. 20 rounds.
I remember, who was it? Was it one of the Gator players? I forgot who it was that just got drafted again. Was drafted in like the 39th round a few years ago by the A's. I'm like, good Lord. Anyway, Nick, in the first couple of days, the Gators signee, first baseman Xavier Isaac got drafted by the Rays, number 29 overall. I would imagine that that's a guy that is going to probably take that money and go and move here to beautiful Tampa Bay. Well, not to Tampa Bay, probably head to some western Mississippi town or something for a few months. And then Sterling Thompson and it goes at the very end of the first round. Number 31, Hunter Barco, 44th, Judd Fabian, 67th. Judd was drafted 54 last year, decided to come back, gets picked up at 67 this year. But Nick, why don't you dive in a little bit more about the Gators baseball draft?
Yeah. Florida's had 4 guys picked. I think the recruiting, I'll get in the recruiting class second. 4 guys picked. As you mentioned, Sterling Thompson was the first one to go. Colorado Rockies, he went 31st overall. Hunter Barco, despite having Tommy John surgery, goes 47th overall to the Pirates. He's still going to be on the shelf. He'll miss probably his entire first year of pro ball, but he'll sign. Judd Fabian, 67th to the suddenly hot Baltimore Orioles, no longer a doormat. And then Brandon Sproat goes 90th to the Mets. All of those guys will sign. Xavier Isaac, he'll sign. Isaac is the only Florida Gator signee that has been drafted and is going to leave. And somebody else was saying to me, does that mean the class is bad? And it's like, no, there's a lot of reasons. A guy like Luke Hyman, a catcher who is going to make it to campus now, which is great for Florida. Hyman can put out a number. Hey, I'm not going to sign for less than $2 million. The Red Sox just signed their first round pick from last night for $2 million over slot. So they really wanted him. He probably told them, hey, here's a number it's going to take to sign me. And they go, okay, sure, whatever. We're going to take it. Some of the numbers guys give might scare teams off. And then all of a sudden it scares them off. Okay, well, is he signable, or are we going to waste our first round pick? Are we going to waste our second round pick? And then by the time it gets to the 5th, 6th round, that slot and the guys you've taken, now it doesn't make sense. And then guys fall because of that. So a guy like Luke Hyman, I think, would have been a top 10 pick. He probably is telling people after the 4th, 5th round, hey, this is my number. You're not going to be able to sign me. So Florida's recruiting class is really good. Hyman's probably the best one in the class coming in, but you have a couple guys right from down the street from you, Dan, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, that are going to be in the class.
Okay. Big rival, Coral Springs High School.
I don't think.
Also, I don't
Douglas
live down there anymore, but I
don't think Douglas would consider it a rival.
You say Coral Springs have no rival?
No. They probably think they have rivals.
Yeah. It's kind of like
they have rivals.
It's like Tennessee having a rivalry with Florida,
right?
It's like we just happen to play you every year. It's not a real rivalry.
No, we just play. They just keep scheduling it. So overall for Florida, I had someone text me yesterday, and then they were
wait, Douglas was a national champion. Yeah, I wonder how bad baseball? They beat my Coral Springs Colts by.
Oh,
y'all the Colts.
Yeah.
Oh.
They used to up until I think the 90s.
Coral Springs baby horses.
The donkeys.
They they used to have a place that you could tie your horse up at the school, I think, up until the 90s.
Oh, that's good. A lot of tradition at Coral Springs.
We've been trash for a long time. Getting better, I think. I've heard, but
can't get worse.
No, not putting a lot of guys into professional sports. So Nick, the Gators also grabbed a transfer from Mercer that was drafted. Colby Thomas, Brandon Sproat was drafted 90th overall. Thomas does Colby Thomas?
Yeah, Colby Thomas is not going to make. I would be very surprised if he makes it to campus. So when you get drafted, when I say like slot or what this guy signed for, that's just your signing bonus. And obviously, when you're negotiating that signing bonus, the fallback plan of, all right, well, I'm just going to go play at Florida next year is a lot more of a negotiating tool than, all right, I'm just going to go back and play at Mercer next year.
Sure. I understand.
He wanted to be drafted in the first 3 rounds. Now, listen, he might not get, I'd have to go in and see who drafted him, who they drafted ahead of him, what they did in the next 10 rounds, because each team gets a pool of money to use for those first 10 picks. And you can go over that, but you get heavily penalized for going over that pool. So we'll see if he gets the number he wants to sign, but it was, I think, his intention to sign this year. And if for some reason he fell in the draft, he would have been fine going to Florida. But I think Florida for him was more of a negotiating tool for the draft. But if you're Kevin O'Sullivan and a kid who's going to be a top 3-5 round draft pick wants to come to your school, you don't say no.
Sure. Corey Acton also. Never mind. I guess
Georgia transferred.
Florida Gators transferred to Georgia. He was drafted on a later round. Let's see, 9th round of the draft today. And then I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that we need to talk about. Certainly, congratulations to all of those folks that were drafted. Judd Fabian has to leave, right? Or could he potentially come back?
He could come back. He's not going to, but he could.
Okay. Yeah. This was, anybody, and you presume everybody that's been drafted so far that is eligible to leave or that is eligible to come back will probably choose to leave, correct?
You can't say definite.
Okay.
But they definitely will leave.
Okay. Perfect. Appreciate that. Silk, I think we are nearing the end of the show. Why don't you get us a Manscaped ad read? And then I think you also have there, Nick, you have Song of the Week. So start thinking about what that is.
Manscaped.com. You heard my man Nick in the intro, man. No Harry Larry. You got your man Hoochie shorts. You need the Lawnmower 4.0 to keep them thighs right, man. Skies out, thighs out, baby. Use coupon code 20SG at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. They also have body wash, weed whacker for your nostrils and ears. They have underwear. They have ball toner and spritzer to keep everything smooth, man. And also the deodorant, which is a mandatory man. You need to keep that in your man bag. Just keep that on deck, man, so you don't get any sticky situation in these hot summer months. Coupon code 20SG at checkout for 20% off.
Perfect. Yeah. Nick, what do we got? Hopefully no pirate theme songs.
It's a shanty.
It's shanty.
No, we're going. You might call this a little too Nashville country, Dan, but Luke Combs is
a big Luke Combs fan.
You never know what to expect out of Nick, man. You just never know what he's gonna bring. It could be Lil Wayne, it could be some country, it could be.
I'm all over the map.
Some folk music, you just never know.
I provide balance. Silk's got rap, R&B.
Yeah.
Dan's hitting us with Marshmello, and then some like off the beaten path country.
Right.
And I'm going country this week. It's Luke Combs' new album. The album's called Growing Up, and the song is the first one, Doing This.
I'll tell you what, that song slaps.
Song.
That is on
you
my.
start blushing with that. That got to be fire. They ain't got excited about that. Boy.
I'll tell you what.
Give me some bars.
That is a top, probably 10 country music song that's come out in the last year, I think.
Get the people some bars, man. Go karaoke on.
Well, see what happened was the last time I sang on this show, the internet was quite critical of me. So I don't want to take this one away from Luke Combs. It was okay. I think we took it away from who was it, Diamond Rio last time, or was it George Strait? I don't remember who I was singing last time. I'll let Luke Combs have this one.
It was I Told You So. You sang when I made the song I Told You So.
Yes.
The Jane Machada episode.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, boys, great show. We are near the beginning of football season, which is always obviously elite content and everything else. So we are excited. Happy Monday evening. Thanks to everybody that followed us on YouTube. We are going to be doing a live stream of this show each and every week on our YouTube channel. So definitely check that out. Make sure you check out and reach out to our sponsors. Use those promo codes. If you forget, feel free to check out that YouTube. They're scrolling at the bottom.
Supports us and saves you some money.
It does. Every single person that sponsors our show is giving you the opportunity to save money as well. So thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Here.